Spartans! What is your profession?
Alright, I did it again. Welcome to the War Room, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for tuning in to our second edition of the 2020 War Room for Blitzalytics. I have a handful of Blitzalytics scouts here. We are all going to go picks 1 through 32 in order, obviously, 1 all the way down to 32. We have done a little bit of swapping, trading. As you guys can, we'll see that a few of us might have some back-to-back picks, or a few of us might move up and take some picks. But we all did a good job, or tried to make sure that we all got our own team so that we can draft and have a little bit of fandom with the fun. Gentlemen, I'm going to open it up and let you guys just introduce yourselves so I don't have to butcher anybody's names or mess anything up. Let's go snake order. Stefan, tell these guys who you are, what you about, what you're doing. You're muted there, buddy.
Muted.
Stefan, you're muted. Alright, well, Stefan's muted, and apparently he can't hear us. He needs to unmute himself.
My bad.
There we go. Alright.
So,
luckily, we're
I'm
doing
Steven.
this now and not during the mock.
I'm Stephen Brown. Jack goes back and forth on Stefan and Stephen, but it is Stephen. And I'm all about that first pick, so you'll be hearing from me in a few minutes.
Matt, unmute yourself and talk to these people.
I'm Matt DiDomenico, and I have the third pick, where the draft really starts. So
we'll see. We'll see. Joseph, tell these people who you are, where you're from, my dude.
Hi, I'm Joseph. I write for Blitzalytics, and I have the 4th overall pick where the draft really starts. Pardon my colleague for jumping ahead of me.
Tyler?
I'm Tyler Mooney. I'm Blitz's one of the new scouts, and I have both of the Dolphins picks, so I get to determine their future and Brian Flores' career as a Dolphin coach.
Chaz?
Yes, sir. My name is Chaz Turnbow, and I have the 5th pick where everybody knows the draft really starts, and you'll be hearing about that Chase Sewell debate.
Oh, I can't wait. So without further ado, we're just going to jump right on into it. But the beautiful thing here is I was able to get us a nice little graphic. And as you can see, he did not hesitate, and he has already put in the pick. Unless you got something to tell me or something to show these people. But it looks like with the first overall pick, we have Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, unless someone's offering me 7 first-round picks, I'm just taking Trevor Lawrence. Best available, should be my guy for the next 15 years. Generational talent. Not much to say about this guy. He's a winner, and he's fantastic, and so that's who I'm taking as the Jaguars GM. So, Trevor Lawrence, first overall pick. Lock it in.
All right, well, if we're going there, then with the 2nd overall pick, I'm not going to hesitate. I have talked a lot of trash about this between the difference between Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold. They now traded Sam Darnold. You have to do what you got to do and go get your quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback, you better go get him. But I do have no faith in the Jets organization to produce a talented quarterback prospect and develop him into a not only starting but a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback, because at pick 2 you better have a Pro Bowl talent being drafted that position. But does anybody here actually believe in the Jets? I mean, we had Sam Darnold, we had the Mark Sanchez before that. Like they've drafted talented quarterback prospects, but it has not panned out. Does anyone think that we're gonna see something different?
I think we're going to see Zach Wilson's career turn into something Johnny Manziel-esque. A lot of height, not a lot of production. So that's my thing.
Am I wrong? I mean, are the Jets wrong? Because this isn't my pick. If it's me, I'm the Jets. I'm trading out. I would have took whatever the Niners offered to move back. I would have done so much more with this pick and made more things happen, so that you are looking at Tyler with the Dolphins, and you have picks galore to then surround your quarterback with. I talked about this last weekend. I think that whoever gets drafted by the Niners is going to have the best career out of any of these quarterbacks, and it doesn't matter if it's Fields or Lance or Jones. One of those three will be the best quarterback in this draft when it's all said and done, and it has to do with the coaching, the scheme fit, and everything else. So Niners are officially on the clock.
All right. I kept going back and forth on two prospects. Like, my gut is telling me that it's going to be Mac Jones, just for some reason because of all the reports. But I really think that the 49ers are going to take Trey Lance.
Let's go.
At number 3.
Let's go.
It's just the talent. It's just a talent standpoint, and he has the most upside. Like I said last week, he was below Justin Fields, but it's just the upside they have. They can sit him behind Garoppolo for a year, so that's why I picked Trey Lance.
All right, insert that in, and let's move on down the list. So we have the Niners up on the clock. And they pick Trey Lance. We now have the Atlanta Falcons up on the clock, where, again, maybe the draft starts, maybe it doesn't. If Trey Lance third pick, that's definitely where the draft starts, because I'll be happy. Y'all be hearing a bunch of I told you so's, but with the 4th pick in the NFL draft, are the Atlanta Falcons staying put? Is the pick for sale? Who they taking?
The pick is available for anybody who's willing to come up for the 4th overall quarterback on the board. Any takers?
Hi, my name is Chaz Turnbow. I am the general manager for the Denver Broncos at pick 9. I was wondering if we could make a deal and I could come up.
Yes, if the offer's right.
I'll give you whatever you need to get this done, baby.
Yeah.
I see a franchise quarterback on the board.
I'll take your 9th overall pick and another 2 firsts and a 3rd in exchange for the 4th.
Got yourself a deal, buddy. I'm gonna come up from pick 9, and the Denver Broncos are on the clock now.
We're gonna swap this out. I got this graphic-wise, gentlemen. All right, Broncos are on the clock. Who are they then taking?
All right, the 4th overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos are selecting Justin Fields, quarterback from the Ohio State University.
Didn't see
He
that one
has
coming.
just as much athletic upside as Trey Lance. He can make every throw available to the field, and they have plenty of young developing weapons and one stud weapon in Cortland Sutton available. We got Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler still there, Melvin Gordon. They got a solid offensive line. We might upgrade that later on. I just traded a few picks away, but we still got picks to work with. So I think Justin Fields is one of the best quarterbacks available, and I will be taking him at pick 4.
Do you guys think that this is going to be a true possibility that we see 4 quarterbacks straight off the board?
It would be the first time in NFL history that it would happen, but I think it's a real possibility. I don't just from the first 3 picks, I think they're chalk quarterbacks. We don't know what San Francisco's doing, if it'll necessarily be Trey Lance like it was today, but those 3 picks are going to be quarterbacks for sure. And with Atlanta being available to trade out, if there's a Justin Fields available, Justin Fields could be a top 2 quarterback any given year. So just with the need at quarterback in the top of the draft and the way that people can reach up here, there's definitely a possibility that for the first time ever we get 4 at 1 through 4.
I can see it. I mean, the potential on every one of these quarterbacks. I think Mac Jones is limited. Mac Jones in the Niners offense could accentuate his prowess and his future, but definitely the potential for all 4, maybe even 5. Who the hell knows? Maybe even 6 of these guys could all eventually be starting caliber. I think Justin Fields, again, I think any one of these guys has top 10 potential. who can tap that potential that's yet to be seen. Broncos have a hell of an offense. If you can't succeed in that offense, I mean, that's basically why they built that offense this last year, was to say, all right, Locke, you don't have any excuses to fail. But I also could see them going and grabbing a Teddy Bridgewater right now, and then possibly adding to that offensive line and locking that down and seeing. But if you need it, go get your guy. If that's Elway's guy, well, we shall see. Right back to you, Chaz, for your Bengals pick. Who you got? Is it going to be Chase? Is it Penei Sewell? Are you going to add to the offensive line? Are you going to reunite your boy with your other boy? What's it going to be?
So last week we had this talk at the end of the show where I came out in support with my boy Matt over there and said that we would both be on Team Chase. Now, pretty much as a Bengals fan, I wake up every day, I check Twitter, and depending on how I feel, I want Sewell. Depending on how I feel, I want Chase. As you all know, I'm extremely high on Kyle Pitts. I always want Kyle Pitts, but that's not going to happen. So today, I woke up and I realized that the Chiefs put in a petition to change the way numbers are set so that wide receivers will be able to wear single-digit numbers. And wearing number 1 with the 5th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Jamar Chase to reunite the best quarterback wide receiver duo in SEC history. Lock it in, baby.
It does look good. I mean, four quarterbacks and a wide receiver off the board. As a Bucks fan, all I am hoping is that Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts, and Penei Sewell aren't there at pick 8 for the pick that I'm going to have to make right now. So, who has the Dolphins? Tyler,
that is me.
Where are you going? Make me happy, please.
So, as the Dolphins GM, I am running to turn this card in. I'm laughing all the way to the bank that I traded from 3 to 6 to get this player. I didn't have to do a thing except for get more draft capital and turn the card in, and I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts, the tight end out of Florida. Tua needs all the help he can get as he develops in his second year, and as we all know, you can't have too many good tight ends, and they'll have Mike Gesicki, and they'll add Kyle Pitts, and he'll probably end up being some sort of security blanket for Tua as he develops in his second year.
That is going to be a stout offense. Especially,
Absolutely.
I mean, like you said, the 2 tight end set, which coming from, a Patriots background, half of that coaching staff comes from up north. They love two tight end sets. I could only imagine what they'd be able to do, and that only helps to a situation right there, giving him some pass catchers, giving him some offensive prowess and weapons. I like it. At pick 7, the Detroit Lions are officially on the clock.
Yeah, so I'm the Lions right now, and I just traded my franchise quarterback, Matt Stafford, for another franchise quarterback in Jared Goff, and I want to see what I got in him. I just lost Kenny Golladay. I just lost Marvin Jones. I don't got any weapons for this guy. I want to see if this guy's my quarterback for the future or if he was just a product of the Sean McVay system. And so I'm going to take, with the 7th pick, Jalen Waddle out of Alabama. Give Jared Goff some weapons, him and Hawkinson, and you got DeAndre Swift at running back along with AP for a little change of pace, and see if Goff's my guy or see if I'm moving on from him in a year or two.
What's the idea of Waddle over Smith?
I think Waddle's the better player, and I think if we had seen Waddle play the whole year, we could have seen him in Heisman contention. I like Waddle's skill set overall. I think he catches the ball better. I think he's a better route runner. I think Smith was just a product of – I think Smith will still be a great player as well, but I think Smith was a product of being the only target in that system compared to if it was Smith and Waddle, I think Waddle would have shined.
Now, when you're looking at it, it goes quarterbacks to nothing but offensive weapons. And so if we're going to continue down that board, and I am going to be an unbiased Carolina Panther, there's still quite a few weapons out there, quite a few options. But the idea of giving the quarterback that we just traded for, Sam Darnold, more weapons, or more Oh man, more weapons or more protection. Like you know, it's hard to decide between the two, but I do think that the Heisman Trophy winning Devontae Smith is being slightly slighted right now, going number 3. I do think that it's hard to hate. I mean, the only thing you could pick apart on this guy is his size. Everything else is outstanding. So as much as it pains me, I'm going with the 8 pick, Devontae Smith. We have now moved back into the 9th spot, or back into Atlanta Falcons territory. Joseph Yoon, who are you taking with the 9th selection of the 2021 NFL Draft?
Okay, with the 9th overall selection, the Falcons take. It's a bit of a surprise here, but I'm going to take J.C. Horn, the cornerback from South Carolina, to address some of the secondary needs behind A.J. Terrell, who had an outstanding rookie season by all accounts last season. And the Falcons' cornerback depth is not ideal, to say the least. So Horn would help immensely in that regard.
What's your thought process in choosing Horn over Patrick Surtain, who we have at Blitzalytics has graded at the 7th highest, and we have Horn at 20. Knowing Horn is probably the better lockdown man corner. I mean, we can all agree on that. But Surtain being arguably, since maybe Jalen Ramsey, the best all-around corner to come out the draft.
Well, the Falcons in recent past history, I know it's another regime, but they like to go against the grain a little bit. So, namely A.J. Terrell last year, where nobody had him as a first-round or that high of a first-round pick, and Horn is arguably the more physical of the two, and he's bigger against the bigger receivers in the division, such as Mike Evans, and if AB is brought back there to Tampa, and so they have lots of big receivers, such as Mike Thomas of the Saints and Mike Evans. So we need bigger corners.
Not bad. I mean, especially like you said, going up against the Bucks, going up against Julio, or not going up against Julio in practice. Let me rephrase that. But going up against the Michael Thomases and the Evans and the Godwins. You definitely need some secondary help, cornerback help, and I think Atlanta's offensively, Atlanta's still got plenty of weapons, plenty of firepower, and can add up, and the rest and fill out those few holes that they have left, maybe at running back or wherever else they go later on in the draft. Who do we have with the 10th selection?
The 10th selection is another cornerback for the Cowboys. Patrick Surtain, Alabama, because they need cornerback help because they lost Jordan Lewis and Auzi to free agency. So they need to refill the cornerback room desperately with talent. So Surtain's an NFL legacy to Patrick Sr. So he has the bloodline and the tools to succeed. So, and the Dallas's defense last year wasn't great, to say the least, and they need cornerback help desperately.
I do like it. I cannot disagree with it. That's for sure. They desperately need one, and I do think Patrick Surtain is the next best thing to Jalen Ramsey to come out the draft. Horn is I wouldn't say one dimensional, but he's more so a one trick pony. And watching Patrick Surtain and doing his scouting report today, actually, I was blown away and salivating at this guy's film. It is outstanding. We have the 11th pick in the draft.
It's the New York Football Giants. And they're sitting there, and the Cowboys, they just took a corner instead of an all-pro tackle or guard. So, and I can't believe he's still there. I'm taking Penei Sewell for Oregon. It's just a player you can play in the outside or inside. Giants need help on the line. Plug him in, play.
Oh, my bad, guys. I blocked him out. I don't know why I blocked him out right there.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I thought Joseph did it.
Yeah, my apologies.
For the Cowboys,
must have done that one.
I
must have done that one accidentally. Yep, because I think I would have pulled the trigger on that, or it might have been me. I don't know if it was, but Penei Sewell slides all the way down to pick 11. That one is going to be hard to believe. We'll call it true. With the 12th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, who did the Eagles select?
So a lot of chalk has been taken as far as what the Eagles need. The Eagles need a corner, but both the best corners are off the board. At this point, it would probably be a reach. Same thing with the wide receiver position. The wide receiver position would be a reach at this point, and based on the depth of the class, I don't think the Eagles need to reach here. I think that they could potentially, if somehow, some way the draft ends up like this, they could be looking for a trade partner. But I'm going to go straight up value here and continue to help out Jalen Hurts in his second year and take Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern.
Yeah, if I'm sitting there at 14 for Minnesota, at 13, I mean, you would have to think even, there's got to be plenty of teams that would be trying to move up to take Slater or either Slater or Penei Sewell if they fell that far.
Yep, I think so too.
For sure. I was actually about to try and make a move up to 11th with the Colts, try and go all in. I was about to
on the offensive line. That wouldn't be fair. You put him next to Quentin Williams. Oh my lord.
Yeah. Also, we got to block out Jalen
there.
Waddle on the spreadsheet. Make sure you block out Jalen.
All right.
Because I was looking at him.
Yeah, make sure, guys, that you are blacking out and adding your names. I'm trying to keep up with it right now, and it's getting me. So Slater's off the board.
The Giants are in a great spot, and so are the Eagles. But if they want to take a tackle, because you got Vera Tucker there too, who could fall, and he can play guard or tackle also. So the Giants and Cowboys and Eagles are in great spots if they're taking offensive linemen.
As a diehard Giants fan, that's awesome to hear.
At the 13th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the LA Chargers select who?
Yeah. So it's a tough spot for me because I think the offense overall is pretty solid. I mean, Justin Herbert had a pretty historic rookie year. He's left with and Mike Williams and Austin Eckler, and he's got a pretty solid defense with Joey Bosa and Kenneth Murray and Derwin James hopefully coming back, hopefully stays healthy. So really torn between offense and defense here. But I'm going to go with Micah Parsons, linebacker out of Penn State. Huge fan of Micah Parsons. I think he's a little underrated in this draft, and I think he will solidify that inside linebacker court, and he'll be a really good duo along with Kenneth Murray and really solidify that second level for the Chargers. I debated on Christian Darrisaw a little bit, but I think it's a little bit of a reach at 13. So I'd rather go with Parsons, just kind of get the best available linebacker, and really, just like I said, solidify that defense.
Man, there's so many options right now that I'm looking at for the Chargers. So you got Parsons at 13, right?
Yep.
Parsons.
So we get that added. Try to make sure you guys get those added, so I'm keep up with this. All right. So at the 14th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, man, there's so much talent sitting there. You look at, it is a reach to go Darrisaw. I think for how many years have Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings needed offensive line help, interior, tackle, they could definitely use it. But man, there's some guys here that I think will fill some holes in that defense. That defense went from being stout, dominant, from the front seven to the secondary. They had 2 stud corners, they had 2 stud safeties, they had fast linebackers, they had an aging D-line. Now, I think they had to go and they traded for an edge rusher. They got rid of an edge, then they had to go get rid of them. And so I feel like Kwity Paye right here at this pick, with the fact that you are looking at people like Darrisaw that's just probably a little bit too rich for that pick, and you want to get one of the best edge rushers off the board. I do think Kwity Paye, the explosiveness, helps out with the loss of guys like Everson Griffin and a few other pieces they lost on that defensive line. He can play multiple roles and kind of play across the board on the defensive line, so I think that would be a good addition if they're going for best player available and not necessarily need. So I'll go there.
Did you debate at all of taking Mac Jones and for Minnesota? So next couple of years,
Nah.
Kirk Cousins' contract is going up.
What is Mac Jones going to be?
Asking
Kirk Cousins. I think that is probably where Mac Jones is going to end up being, is a Kirk Cousins middle of the pack quarterback. So unless you want to just spend a first round pick to eventually be able to save, $20-30 million a year, I don't think it's worth it. It's not worth a first round pick this year when if everybody's loading up on quarterbacks right now, in the next 2 draft classes, you're then going to have the market isn't going to be as so thick and heavy that you might be able to scoot up and get a quarterback early or have a quarterback fall a little bit farther and it not cost you 3 first-round picks like it just cost Chaz and the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, Minnesota, even though I'm a Packers fan, they're a mess right now. They just lost one of their corners to some troubles off the field. So that couldn't even be a corner there. Like, Mike Zimmer's got to pull it together in the next couple of years or he could be on the hot seat.
It could be quite a few different things. I just felt like his upside, his explosiveness, where they like to get back to defense. Again, if you got a defense and Dalvin Cook, you're going to be winning games. All you need is to be able to run the ball and play defense. And if they can get back to that old Vikings way, then they're not that far off. I mean, I thought that team played outstanding in the second half of the season once all those young players started actually fitting and working out and kind of gaining momentum as the season went on. So we can move on into the 15th pick. I think we can just kind of write this one on in. Mac Jones, right? Do I need to make the pick for you guys?
I mean, I appreciate that spent a solid 5 minutes dogging Mac Jones, knowing I was about to have to make this pick. I appreciate that. But, I mean, the main criticism on Mac Jones, he really had 1 year, and the upside is, kind of tepid from being not an elite athlete like a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance. But, I mean, I'm definitely going Mac Jones here, 15 for the Patriots. To not have to trade 3 first-round picks to get up into the top 5 and still get one of the tier 1 quarterbacks as we've been hearing, I'll gladly take that, fall into my lap at 15 with the Patriots. What better system for a system quarterback to go to than the system that created Tom Brady? So, 15th pick, give me Mac Jones.
I just feel the whole system quarterback. I feel like Mac Jones and Justin Fields are just getting so disrespected. I feel it makes no sense, and I know I'm one of those people that I am putting Mac Jones slightly above Justin Fields. But do you guys both think that there's half of the NFL industry shitting on one just to prop up the other and vice versa, instead of both showing that both of these guys do have the traits and the possibility to turn into quarterbacks, and you don't have to shit on one to bring up the other? Or is that all is the tinfoil hat conspiracy theory real, and Bill Belichick is behind all of this to shit on either Mac Jones or Justin Fields to hope that they fall down to him?
I mean, I think that's just how sports works in general now. I mean, what's the
Sadly.
biggest sports debate of our generation? LeBron versus Jordan.
Yeah.
So everybody wants to shit on one to raise the others. I think that's just how it's just translated through all sports, really. Both of these guys fall into that tier of potential franchise quarterback. If you feel comfortable with him running your offense, draft him. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I'm not super high on Mac Jones overall, but I think any place he's going to succeed is going to be New England. I mean, that place is built for a quarterback like Mac Jones, and we know that Bill Belichick already has that connection with Nick Saban. I'm sure he's been in talks to him about kind of the intangibles that Mac Jones shows that maybe you don't see at his pro day or see from interviewing him. So I really think that if Mac Jones falls to 15 or if the Patriots trade up into the top 10 to get him, I wouldn't be surprised, and I think that's probably the best place for him for his career long term. Maybe not next year, but for his career long term, I think that's the best place for him.
I do agree. All right, moving on down to pick 16. The Arizona Cardinals. Arizona Cardinals. Who do they select?
With the Cardinals' 16th overall pick, we select Azeez Ojulari, the edge from Georgia. I know the Cardinals just signed J.J. Watt and re-signed Marcus Golden, but they are getting up there in their years, and so fresh blood is needed. And Ojulari is one of the most athletic edges in the draft, and they need youth, even though he's not going to start right away, but he will get some reps in, so to learn behind one of the best. So
Looking at it, that's a little rich. I think there's a few. Would everybody agree, or is everybody indifferent about the edge rushers that are still on the board? When you have somebody like a Russo or either of the Miami guys on the board, is that a reach for anyone?
The Miami guys, I think, are going to fall a little, especially Phillips tonight because of his concussion issues. Russo, I wasn't that high on watching his film. He doesn't really have that motor that you want. I think Joseph made a good pick here. Was that edge rusher instead of those two. I think the Miami guys. I think Phillips might even get to the second round.
I think in a draft like this, where we don't have a Chase Young, we don't have a Nick Bosa, it's really a toss-up with the edge rushers. I really don't think, unless you're drafting one of them in the top 10, I don't think any of them is surprising to go with this pick. I don't think any of them are surprising to go, like Matt mentioned, in the second round. I really think it's a preference thing for the teams at that point. We just don't have that dominant number one like Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa, Chase Young type of guy.
And if we did, then the Falcons wouldn't be trading back at 4. So that's how I look at it.
Very, very true. All right, the LV Raiders with the 17th pick and the 2021 NFL Draft. Who are they taking?
This one was pretty hard. Like, they need some line. They could even go after someone like Bateman. He's still on the board for receiver to give Derek Carr some weapons next to Waller. But, I think they really need someone that can fly around the field. And I've been seeing a lot of JOK, but I like Zayvon Collins a lot out of Tulsa. I think this guy can fly around the field and make plays. He's a big, powerful defender that can hit backs into the ground. And so I think Zayvon Collins is going to rise up boards, and he might go at 17 with the Raiders. I think Mayock might pull the trigger on him.
That does seem like a Mayock thing to do. I could definitely see that. Trying to find where he's at.
Did you give any thought to Christian Darrisaw?
I am not that high. Personally, I'm not high on Christian Darrisaw. I mean, is Vera Tucker still on the board, right?
Yeah.
I like Vera Tucker better than Darrisaw. Even I think. What's that, Joseph?
Is that because of his versatility, or?
Yeah, it's his versatility and like you can. And I just like him in pass protection also. He's more athletic tackle. Darrisaw had some problems against like rushers who can dip to the ground and that are very flexible. So,
all right, we get that added at pick 17. I think it looks like it's blacked out. I'm not finding the name. And then we will go back on over to Tyler for the second of 2 first-round picks for the Miami Dolphins. Who do they take with their second first-round pick in the 2021 NFL Draft?
I think that they take a look at Darrisaw. Obviously a good offensive line helps your quarterback develop. But I think that Coach Flores is going to take, a player that's going to make this offense even more dynamic. And I think they're going to take Najee Harris and say, come get us on offense.
You took my guy.
And they're going to say, you know what, Tua, we're going to give you your running back. We're going to give you Kyle Pitts. You have Devontae Parker. You have Mike Gesicki. You now have Will Fuller. You have till Thanksgiving to show us what you got, and then we're moving on. Come get us.
Took my guy.
It's a beautiful cutthroat approach that I appreciate, but as a little rich for all the running backs that are out there.
Start putting some respect on the running backs. I get that.
I do. It's my favorite position, but still,
Hey, not
man.
everyone can be Derrick Henry.
Or Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if I am going to be picking at 19 now, seeing how we flip-flopped, the Washington football team desperately needs some offensive line help. So I will be the one to gladly take Christian Darrisaw off the board. I do think Washington is going to have to be somewhat aggressive and move up to try and go get a quarterback. I don't know if they could get all the way up to, I wasn't going to trade within myself from 14 to 18, but I could definitely see Washington still trying to go grab their quarterback or draft their quarterback. And if they like Kellen Mond as much as I do, I could almost see them taking Kellen Mond right here. I know that's probably rich for a lot of people's blood. There's one thing I've ever agreed with Chris Sims is I think Kellen Mond in any other draft would be considered a first-round quarterback, and there's nothing on the film you really don't like from him. Smart, but if I'm going to stay true to the board right now, Darrisaw and building the offensive line, building it out from the trenches out. Like you go get Fitz to be able to win games and not suck as bad, but you didn't go grab Fitz to go make a playoff run. So build it from the trenches out. They've got the defensive line. Get that offensive line, and then let's see where they're at in a year. And hey, you never know. They still may be able to go back up and get Darrisaw or go get Kellen Mond.
Thinking Kyle Trask there. I'm just kidding.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Kyle Trask can go sit somewhere. He ain't starting or
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's planning. If you take a crapshoot on him, I'm all for it. But like, don't draft him expecting anything special. Like, it ain't gonna happen. But all right, with the 20th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, who do the Chicago Bears take?
Yeah, so this is a pretty exciting pick for the Bears because it's their first-round pick since drafting Roquan Smith in 2018 because they traded their last two picks to get Khalil Mack, which has been fine. As a Bears fan, I'm pretty upset that Darrishaw's off the board because that's what I wanted to take. I mean, Andy Dalton's not very mobile, and so you want to really solidify that offensive line to make sure that he is not getting sacked 60 times next year. That being said, with the two or three best offensive linemen off the board at this point, I think you need to fill the position you lost, the biggest position you lost this year, which was Kyle Fuller, who was released and signed by the Broncos. And so as the Bears, I'm taking Asante Samuel Jr. out of Florida State.
Okay.
Cornerback is a big need for them right now. I'm a big fan of Samuel Jr. He obviously has the pedigree with his dad playing the league for however many years for the Patriots and Eagles and whoever else. I really like Samuel a little more than Caleb Fairley. I think he's a little more versatile. I think he can play in the slot. The Bears haven't had like a really solid slot corner since they lost Bryce Callahan also to the Broncos. And Vic Fangio's taken all the corners from the Broncos or from the Bears. And so that's what I'm going with for the Bears. Kind of patch that cornerback hole they lost this offseason.
Samuel's getting first round love, so that makes sense.
I think he deserves it, especially I think after seeing what Antoine Winfield Jr. did in his quick transition. The two juniors this year are going to get extra amounts of love simply because of that. Like, we all know it's a copycat league, and having an NFL pedigree is a huge deal, especially when it comes to the X's and O's and the mental side of it. If you watch Pat Surtain, you can tell that his dad played football. Like, you could tell that like he has been doing this his entire life because of how comfortable he is in coverage, how seamless it is. There is no processing time. It's instant read and react. You don't get that with a lot of guys coming out of college, and so I do think that those two corners are two of the most polished corners. But I do think Samuels is limited. Again, probably limited in the same sense that every scout talked about Asante Samuel Sr. originally being size, length, frame, build, all those other things. But he doesn't play down to his size. He plays as if he's, you know, a 300-pound lineman. Like he's mean. So that definitely helps, but yeah, it's a little early.
I do think a quick note on Samuel. If he ends up, you know, because of his size, if he ends up being just a solid slot corner, I think that's fine because the NFL at this point is transforming to a place where you need a slot corner. You need a starting slot corner, you know? And so if that's his ceiling is a starting, you know, top 10 slot corner, that's fine with me as a Bears
You're
fan.
still
you know?
in the field, 75% of the time now, 73% of the time now in today's NFL. So, I mean, that's practically a starter. If you can find a starter at any round, it's a good thing. If you can find a starter in the back, you know, in the middle, back end of the first, you know, and more so than what some of these other guys did. I mean, if you look at the back end of the draft this last year, a lot of those guys didn't, or the back end of the first round, half of those guys didn't even contribute for shit in their first year. You know, you had more production in like the middle of the second round than you did the end of the first really this year. Again, it's got a lot to do with availability too. So at pick 21, who do the Indianapolis Colts take?
All right, so I'm looking at my little big board here on my flashcard. So I simply have the words best offensive tackle available. And you guys left Elijah Vera Tucker here. And I don't know if I want to play him at right tackle because, you know, Anthony Costanzo just retired. We're trying to figure out a plug-and-play guy. I could also throw Samuel Cosme's name out there. I want an elite athlete. Also, Micah Berg is available. But I'm going to go past all of those guys because I kind of have a theme with their Indianapolis offensive line, and that theme is bullies. I want meanness. I want ass kickers. So give me Tevin Jenkins, offensive tackle out of Oklahoma State, and we're going to bury some linebackers and let Jonathan Taylor work.
Oh, I love his film. He's an asshole.
Yeah.
Like I watch Alex Leatherwood's. Yeah, like that's what you want in your offensive lineman. Like I watch Alex Leatherwood and like he's got this mean nasty name and he's like super athletic, but then like he just doesn't use it to hurt guys. Like he doesn't use it to punish. Like he doesn't have any ounce of like I'm gonna take your head off, and you want that in your offensive lineman. I thought you were going elsewhere though. I really did.
I had to get my boy Tevin Jenkins. Imagine him like running power, get Quentin Nelson on the pole and Tevin Jenkins and Quentin Nelson running right at you.
By the fourth quarter, they're gonna be that defensive line and those linebackers are gonna be hurting. That is for sure. At the 22nd pick of the 2021 NFL Draft, War Room mock draft, whatever you want to call it, who did the Titans take?
The Titans pick is available for trade for anybody interested. So,
all right, hear me out on this one. I'm not making the move, but if you're a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and you have damn near no holes, like you really can just roll out your like screw the rest of the draft, screw the rest of the offseason free agency. You could roll out this and it's a Super Bowl caliber roster. Do you back up and load up for depth and try to fill holes for the future? Or do you go all in, and if you really love a guy that's sitting there around the 20s, do you jump up and go get him so you have a guaranteed role player impact piece for this next upcoming season? Because you're going to risk two more potential starters, at least one more potential starter to go up and get them. And I'm looking at a few guys that I would love to have on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But also, I do love depth. What's your guys' thought process on this? See, that's
I would say sit and wait, and then see what offers, because you know that pick is usually teams are trading up into that pick, so I'm sure they will trade back. But if they're there, and you know if there's a good lineman or another good corner. Because I know you having issues with that one corner. Maybe they take a chance if Farley falls there.
No issues. No issues. We good. But we do. But Carlton Davis will be on his last year of his contract. He is a second-round pick. So he's very up and down statistically. He's very, very good in certain areas and not so great in certain and others. But he is a pretty much lockdown corner. So those are hard to find, but those are also going to be very expensive come this next season. And Vita Vea needs to get paid before Carlton Davis does. So I could see, again, there's players, but sorry to take that. I'm not going to move up. I was just interested to see what your guys' thought process was. Because, again, like, no matter who the Bucks take, like, in the first 3 rounds, good luck trying to find playing time this year.
Yeah.
Nobody? All right, Joseph, you're on the clock.
Okay. Well, with the 22nd pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Terrence Marshall Jr., receiver, LSU. The Titans lost both Johnny Smith, the tight end, and Corey Davis, our receiver, our second leading receiver. So the offensive playmaker core needs replenishing. So, yeah, Marshall can play both slot and the X, so he fills both needs there. And the Titans receiver room is right now, as currently constituted, is A.J. Brown and not much else. They also lost Adam Humphries, their reliable slot receiver, due to a concussion that was laid by Chaz's Bengals last year, unfortunately, on a really unfortunate play. I'll just say that. So Marshall is the pick here because they need receivers badly.
I don't complain. It ain't a bad one. Again, I do think I will say that I think Joseph, your board's a little different than some of ours, or a little bit different than the Blitz big board itself. But there's so much wide receiver talent. There's so much talent across the board that if you are to, pull from somebody that the rest of us have picked at 50 and you have them picked at, or 45, wherever it may be, wherever it ranked. The difference, though, in, like, talent level from all of ours, like, pick 20 to pick 45, pick 50, is, like, fractions. Like, these guys are all kind of bunched up together, so it really isn't that big of a reach when you get down to it.
Yeah, the Titans
Are you thinking?
The Titans love their big guys on offense. So, like, A.J. Brown's big, Johnny Smith was big, Corey Davis was big and strong. So they like to give him screens and let him ball down the field. So Marshall can do that as well. So
Why Marshall over Bateman?
Marshall can play outside more so than Bateman can, but I feel that Bateman's more of the better route runner at this point in their careers. But production-wise, Marshall's a tad bit better, and he's been proven to do it. But he has injury issues himself. But it's just I like the size more than anything.
Yeah.
The team philosophy of the size.
Yep.
All right, Jets are picking at 23 in the 2021 NFL Blitzalytics War Room mock draft. Where are we going?
They could get some line help here, but Tyler did take my running back earlier, and there is some electric dude out of Clemson that you could match him up with that quarterback they took number 2 overall. So I think Travis Etienne is going to be the pick here for the Jets. He can do it all. They're comparing him to Alvin Kamara. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can run a lot of routes. He can get deep down the field. And, the one thing about taking running backs in the first round, especially late, is you can pick up that 5th-year option on them. You don't got to throw that contract right at them. So I think this might be a move that the Jets do. But
any counter arguments to that, taking a quarterback and running back in the first round?
Gonna be honest, as a Jaguars, I was looking to take ETN at 25 to pair with James Robinson and give Trevor Lawrence some comfort, but stole that from me. So I guess as a Clemson home, I won't be going dual Clemson picks for the Jaguars.
They're starting running back, the Jets right now, is Tevin Coleman. It's Tevin Coleman. It's a good player, but I don't know. I feel like they're gonna go after a running back.
No disrespect, Gator Green, but Michael Pirine,
Yeah, Michael Pirine looked good. Looked good when he was on the field last year. He's like a little bowling ball.
Well, for the ageless wonder Frank Gore, I know he's moved on, but
I don't know. I just feel like For me personally, when you're a team that needs a lot like the Jets do, when you're a team that went almost completely defeated, you have no right to take a running back. With that being said, Matt, I do enjoy the idea of pairing him with Zach Wilson to make it easier on him during his early times.
Well, Jack, they got 21 picks in the next 2 drafts.
I get it.
They got time. They got time.
They should use those picks like next year.
The line's not the worst. Etienne's a good player. You can make some.
I get it. No, he's one of my favorites. If the Bucs didn't sign Lenny, then that's who I was really hoping they were going to go and get as a pass catching third down back and 1-2 punch with Rojo. With the 24th pick in the 2021 NFL mock draft, the Steelers select who?
So the Steelers need some help up front on their offensive line. I think there's a lot of good players left. They're going to take a look at Vera Tucker. They're going to take a look at Cosme, but I think they go and find their replacement for Marquise Pouncey, and they take Creed Humphrey out of Oklahoma, who didn't let up a sack in 2019 and 2020.
Shit. Gentlemen, thoughts? Anybody?
Did you think about Landon Dickerson at all instead?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely between one of those two guys. I think it's just a matter of preference as a general manager. To me, I'm scared with Landon Dickerson's injury, although I did see him do whatever that was, a cartwheel or backflip or whatever in the background of Mac Jones' interview. But I like Creed Humphrey. I like what he did at Oklahoma, a 3-year starter, and I think he's a plug-and-play player for the Steelers.
Tyler, why center over a tackle here? Because I know they need a tackle also.
Yeah, I think that they could go either way, but I think that with I can't remember his name because it's such a long name. With
Vera
his
Vera Tucker.
Yeah.
No, with
Villanueva.
Yes, with his status up in the air as far as whether he's going to re-sign or not. I think that's coming into play. I think maybe if it comes to the draft time and they haven't re-signed him yet, then maybe they go tackle. But for now, I think that the center is a good move.
Is Zach Banner your left tackle?
Yes, he is. No, yes. Yep.
All right, Jaguars with the 25th pick in the 2021 NFL mock draft. Who are they taking? Let's get that.
Yeah, honestly, it would have been really cool to pair Trevor Lawrence with Travis Etienne. That ruined that for me. And that was I was like gearing up for that pick. But looking at Jacksonville's needs, I think offensive line, they're pretty solid. I mean, they were top half of the league last year, according to Football Outsiders. They have a pretty solid with Cam Robinson, Andrew Norwell, Brandon Linder, Juwan Taylor, like pretty solid offensive line. And plus, all the best offensive linemen have been taken. Position-wise, they're not bad. They signed Marvin Jones. They have DJ Chark. They have James Robinson. So I'm looking at the defense here, and I'm actually thinking Caleb Farley for them. This is the pick that they got from the Jalen Ramsey trade, and so it feels appropriate that they replace that cornerback position and go with Caleb Farley as their pick. They definitely have some pieces on defense with Josh Allen, David Bryan, Miles Jack, and I think adding to that secondary and making that a little more solidified will help out a lot. So I definitely look at defense here because I think Trevor Lawrence has enough help on offense, should have enough help on offense if Urban Meyer does things right. So.
Ooh. Do like that, especially if you can, for the pick you got, you can turn around and replace them. It may not be replacing at the same level of talent, but I would not complain with that one.
Yeah, I'm certainly not comparing Caleb Farley to Jalen Ramsey, but you do need a cornerback, and so it feels appropriate to replace your cornerback that you traded with for that pick with a cornerback. So,
trying to think of where. I feel like the Browns could really. They're not a team that has a luxury in terms of like they don't have holes, but really sitting on the back of the back end of this draft, like they could kind of go anywhere. I'm really trying to think. I'm trying to go through my big board, pulling it up off my phone, but oh man, this one is rough, but I feel like JOK is sitting up there right now, and he is so goddamn talented. But they do have Mac Wilson. They've got some decent linebackers there. It's not a necessity. You look at somebody like Christian Barmore. You look at somebody like Gregory Rousseau. You look at Trayvon Morig. I feel like who are their safeties right now?
They just signed John Johnson.
Yep.
They drafted
Delpit.
Grant Delpit.
Yeah, Delpit, and then Delpit got hurt, so they don't need that. I'm looking at it. Bolton. They've got pieces on the offensive line that almost be a luxury to go there. I think I am. I'm going Joe. May not be the perfect fit, but I do think adding speed to that defense is something that nobody will complain about.
I just want to thank you because I was extremely scared you were about to take my guy for the Ravens at 27. Like when you started talking about safety, I was like, please, do for the love of God, do not take Trayvon, who I think is the best player on the board available.
Me
left
too.
For
We both. That was rough. That hurt.
Yeah, that's why I had to. When you said who the safety, I had to sneak in there and talk you out of it real quick.
Thank you, I appreciate that. But again, they won't draft him. They just Josh Johnson and Delpit. Like you still have to see what Delpit can do. But,
Trayvon Merrick. The Ravens like to be aggressive. They like to run multiple fronts. They like to blitz a lot. They've been the heaviest blitzing team for like the last 2 seasons. And you need a guy in the back with range. They cut Earl Thomas, who's still a free agent, by the way. But they cut one of the best, like, free safeties, like, back-end safeties in the league. And Trayvon Merrick is really the only, like, in my eyes, he's been the best single high prospect in this class, and I don't think it's even close. So I'm going to take Trayvon Merrick here at pick 27 for the Baltimore Ravens.
So you're putting that much faith in Sammy Watkins staying healthy for 16 games instead of taking the receiver there?
But the draft is 7 rounds long.
Yeah.
My catchphrase on this podcast.
It's the damn truth, though. All right.
Yeah.
So got that in. Oh, something must have happened. Boom. All right. At pick 28, the team that's probably taken the biggest hit this offseason, being the New Orleans Saints, having Drew Brees retire, still being like 50, 60 million over the cap, whatever they were when they started this season off, cutting more talent than any other team. Where do the New Orleans Saints go to start replacing some of these holes, even though they do have still quite a talented roster? 2 quarterbacks, decent offensive line, plenty of weapons in the wide receiving core, decent running backs, decent secondary. A couple of guys in the secondary are getting in some off-field issues and some trouble. Where do they go?
I was tempted to go receiver, not a receiver, but cornerback due to the off-field issues they've had recently. They do need edge help because they lost Trey Henderson to the Bengals, I believe, in free agency, and the depth behind Cameron Jordan is not great, to say the least. It's still good, but it could be better. So I'm going to take Joseph Osai, the edge from Texas, because he's athletic enough to stand up and play with his hand in the dirt, and so he would help them a lot.
All right. Any comments? With the 29th pick, Matt, your Green Bay Packers.
Should I take a quarterback?
I was gonna say, are they taking another quarterback? I don't know. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is gonna be your quarterback after this season.
I know it looks like he wants to stay in jeopardy forever.
I do think that's his dream job.
He said he wants to do both yesterday. There's so much talent left. There's Barmore there. They can put him next to Kenny Clark. I'm really tempted to take Rashad Bateman here, but I just don't think that's what the Packers are going to do, is take a receiver this early. So I am going to go Bear Tucker here. This is a player that we were talking about earlier. Chaz's face like.
So if he would have made it down to 32, he wouldn't have made it to 33.
I I was there trying to trade up from the Bengals, and the second round pop back up and get Vera Tucker.
You know, the
It's
Packers they like their linemen. They're off the lineman cross trained. You know, if Elton Jenkins played center, guard, tackle, I know there's that stat he played everywhere. You know, this is a player that can play tackle, play guard. You know, they may slide Jenkins over the center and plug him in at guard, and they may put Billy Turner back at guard and put him at tackle. So I think this is a player that would fit in really well with the Packers.
And yet, Javon Walker still remains a trivia question to this day.
He just looked weird. His haircut, like all slicked back like that. He looks, I don't know. Hey, I'm slowly coming around. Like the Pat Mack show slowly made me a fan of him again, but I don't know. Seeing him on Jeopardy, I'm just. Yeah.
I said it yesterday. He's acting more like Brett Favre did near the end, where he's kind of making these comments and like, well, you know, it is what it is, but I'm still the quarterback, and you know, but not as aggressive as Favre did, because if you remember, he said I don't have to teach him anything. But
do you think he leaves the Packers before he retires at any point?
I think. Oh yeah. I think this might be his last year. I think they may cut him after this year, and you know, a place. Even though we have Mac Jones going, I think he could go to New England, maybe a place like the Giants. If they dump Daniel Jones, if it doesn't work out, and even Tyler, you were mentioning the Dolphins. If Tua doesn't work out, that could be a spot too. So
that'd be weird to see him in a Dolphins uniform. Like, I could see a Niners uniform, or at least before the Niners moved up. I could not picture him in that teal and orange.
Or he could be traded to Seattle for Russell Wilson. That'd be funny.
That would be funny. Straight across swap.
I mean, we never thought we'd see Tom Brady in another uniform.
Yeah, but then again, I mean, they're getting rid of Aaron Rodgers so that they can have Jordan Love play. So it's kind of different story. All right, the Buffalo Bills, the ever-surging Buffalo Bills, with the 30th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, selects who?
The Bills Mafia selects Gregory Rousseau, edge out of Miami. They lost Trent Murphy and Quentin Jefferson this year to free agency. They do have Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison, but they're both over 30. And they do have A.J. Espinosa, second-round pick from last year, hoping he makes the jump. But I think that, put Gregory Rousseau into this defense alongside A.J. and Jerry Hughes, and they have a pretty good pass rush. This Gregory Rousseau is very athletic. When you watch him on tape, he's long, and I think he has a great knack for getting to the quarterback.
I'm from Rochester, New York, so
me too.
It's big, yeah. So, I kept saying they need an edge rusher, and I thought they were going to go after Judon or who is the Bengals? Who's Lawson? But the thing is, I think they need more line help, and the thing was the ends in this draft we were talking about it, the rushers. I don't know if they're gonna take a rusher that high, especially him. So they might trade back, but I understand why you made that pick.
I was going to take Vera Tucker, but you took him right before me.
Yeah. Do you think they go after corner or safety to help?
Bills, yeah, definitely. I thought that maybe if Caleb Farley fell all the way to the Bills, that the Bills would take him immediately. But I don't know with the value of the pick right there if there was any corner that they would reach for. I do think trading back is definitely potential, but
maybe
for the mock draft, I just took player with best value.
Man, if I was I would have wet dreams about Caleb Farley and Trey White playing opposite each other.
I know.
Linebackers also a need because
they're spitting images of each other.
Yeah.
Maybe a corner like Greg Newsome might be some guy that they take. Maybe Eric Stokes, that might be a guy too. So.
Yep.
I'm sure there's got to be a team that's looking at, a quarterback or looking to come up and grab a player for that fifth-year option. Like, again, I don't know if there's going to be a Kellen Mond. I mean, what teams missed out on a quarterback that really need a quarterback right now that would be willing to move back up at 31 or 32 over the last, I think, 5 seasons. I know, guaranteed last 5 seasons. I think it's like 8 or 9 of the last 10 seasons. 31 or 32 has been traded. And I know like 30, 31, 32 is traded almost every year the last like 10, 15 years. So do you guys see anybody coming up to grab one of those spots? Again, like I said, I love me some Kellen Mond, but I don't know if there's teams that necessarily need the Kellen Mond right now. Maybe Detroit.
I think this is your team, Jazz. I think the Bengals, looking at this, Jazz, like this, you got Cosme still there. You got
Leatherwood. I thought you were talking about quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, they're good.
Yes, I had been thinking about trading up since like pick 28 to come up and get I wanted Vera Tucker, but I would absolutely. Here's the issue with trading up to 31 though. Well, as the Bengals, everybody, especially taking Jamar Chase at 5, everybody knows they're coming up for an offensive lineman, and the Chiefs need offensive linemen.
Yeah.
So the Bengals would have to pay something crazy to move up 6 spots. When, like you said, Cosme, Leatherwood. Even though I'm not that huge of a fan of Leatherwood. Mayfield's still on the board. Liam Eichenberg is still on the board. Like there's still like those 4 plus you still need they still need a lot of Bengals have a lot of holes. They're not a tackle away. They can sit back and sit on somebody and wait and get a starter at 38.
And that's the reason. Looking at this, that's the reason why I think they have to take Jamar Chase because a tackle is going to fall. It doesn't make sense if you're going to take. These tackles are talented. These ones near the end, like Mayfield and the one from Notre Dame that you just mentioned. So I think this is why they should take Jamar Chase at 5.
So at 31, who does the Kansas City Chiefs take then?
Yeah, so if I'm the Chiefs, I think that after watching that Super Bowl, it's pretty obvious that their offensive line is a struggle. Obviously, a lot of that was because of injuries prior to the game. But they did lose Eric Fisher. They did add Joe Tooney, and they also added Kyle Long, who unretired for like the 30th time, I think. But I'm still looking at offensive tackle because I want to make sure Patrick Mahomes is protected. I saw what happened to Joe Burrow last year, franchise quarterback, who basically broke his leg. And I want to keep Patrick Mahomes from injuring himself. And so I'm taking Samuel Cosme out of Texas. I think Cosme is a versatile tackle. I think he does a lot of things well. I think he has a lot to work on as well. But I also think that in that system, he will have a chance to develop. And so I really want to solidify that outside tackle position and pair him with Mike Remmers on the other side. So I think the two of them could be like solid bookend tackles for a while to Patrick Mahomes.
I like that fit a lot too because, like I said earlier, Cosme has an elite athletic profile. And, with Patrick Mahomes taking those 9 and 11-step dropbacks every play, they're going to need somebody that can operate out there in space. So I do like that fit a lot.
Yeah, and
he's nasty too.
I think we saw that. I remember what the stat was. Mahomes there's some insane records set for the amount of times Mahomes ran that game and was pressured. That
498 yards.
There you go. Our fearless leader has the answer. 498 yards he ran under pressure that game. So I know a lot of that was due to injury, but at the same time, you want to solidify. You got to lock down that line because the quarterback's only as good as his offensive line. So we want to make sure, as the Chiefs, that we get Cosme and make sure that the edge is sealed, especially when you got some pretty solid pass rushers in that division. So at least from the Bucs, or at least from the Chargers.
You have Blitzalytics patented or signature, not patented, patent pending signature pressure escape rate statistics. So go check those out at Blitzalytics.com, and you can see just how much Patrick Mahomes uses his feet to extend plays. Oh man, this is a conundrum. I was hoping Christian Barmore was going to be here. I think upside putting him next to Vita Vea, having him in a rotation with Ndamukong Suh, it would be outstanding. Super high upside. There is some bust potential. He's still very raw. He's a freak athlete, but he is a body mover. He explodes off the line of scrimmage. But man, the Bucks have a few holes. I talked about it on the JP Peterson show earlier this week, which is a Tampa-centric radio show that I do. And the Bucks have 4 defensive linemen and I think 2 offensive linemen in the next year that are going to be up, or I should say 3 offensive linemen this next year that are going to be up. Aaron Stinney, who started the Super Bowl. You have Alex Kappa out of Humboldt State, who they've had and been able to make work, and he's been a solid starter for them. And then you have Ryan Jenkins, who they haven't extended. There's talks about extending. So I'm looking at this at 1 of 2 options, either interior D lineman or interior offensive lineman. But I also think that you almost want to go, and this, like as a Bucs fan, so I'm extending this. The Bucs do not have much depth at tackle, so that's why somebody like a Vera Tucker, if he slides even anywhere close, and the Bucs can go grab somebody who can play swing tackle, who can slide in, play guard, and who could sub in if Donovan Smith or Wirfs gets hurt, you add a ton of versatility. So I think grabbing somebody like that would be the best part. So somebody like that that's still on the board, to me, who could still slide in, is Jalen Mayfield. If you needed Jalen Mayfield to slide in, he totally could. He is a mauler, a run stuffer. He's that one of those assholes we were talking about. Not necessarily that he's the perfect guy to kick inside, but I think from you kick your guys inside knowing that they can open up holes and they can move they can protect the pocket. He can do all those things. So with all that said, there's too many players on the board that the Bucs love and want to take, so the Bucs have to trade back. Bucs trade back like they did a year or 2 ago. The board is open if anybody wants to come up and grab a player. But I think the Bucs' idea is that they drop back a few spots and then to hopefully take whatever draft capital they got and move back up with their other second-round pick like they did just a few years ago when they grabbed both Donovan Smith and Ollie Marpet in the second round. Bucs are the best at drafting second-round and third-round prospects better than anybody in the league. I charted it. The shit's true.
Yeah, this is true because, Roberto Aguayo.
Hey, that wasn't Jason Light's pick. I've got a confirmation on that. That was management. That was ownership. Okay? Leave that one out of it.
So if you're trading back, can someone trade in? Because as the Bears second round pick, I'd love to trade in for that pick.
How far back are you?
I think I'm 220. So I'll give you.
You know what?
220.
Second round.
Oh, 20th. second 20th pick. Okay. Oh, that's gonna take a lot then.
Yeah.
That's moving way back. So
you're gonna
the Bengals.
I'll offer you that pick, and
I need that and the 3.
I'll offer something.
All right, Chaz, what you got?
All right.
I'll give you 36 and a 3.
Let's go. Sorry, Chaz. Sorry, but Chaz is taking it because I don't want to fall too far. If I fall too far back, I don't get any of these 3 guys or 4 guys that are on my big board. But so if I don't move too far back, and then especially the Bengals are going to have high. They have a ton of picks, but I'm sure that's a high 3rd round pick as well. Mm-hmm. So the Bengals win out from this. The Bucs win. I'm sorry, but. Just 2-20 is a little too far.
I was gonna send an offer too, but
hey, y'all got offers? Y'all want to outbid me? What's up?
What's up?
I was gonna say the Jets. They have a lot of picks, and you were just talking about how they should take a tackle. Maybe the Jets trade. What, they have 2 second rounders.
Two for what? We can make that happen.
No, I was saying maybe a second rounder, a 3rd rounder, and a next year's 3rd rounder to move up.
Shit, Chaz,
I was gonna offer this year's 2nd, one of this year's 3rd, and a 6th, this year's 6th, and the next year's 4th. That can be conditionally upgraded to the 3rd.
Oh, now we're going conditional draft pick.
For who? Who are you? Like, what team?
For what team?
Yeah, what team would even know?
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Tennessee?
They were so far back there. Get out of here with that. Playoff teams aren't allowed to move up. Like, we're talking about bottom of the barrel. Yeah. No offense, boys, but bottom of the barrel teams. Oh man, the Jets.
I don't think I can.
I'll give you a 2nd, a 3rd, and next year's 3rd.
second, third, and next year's third. I am going with Matt. I think I got to go with Matt's pick because it's not. I'm not dropping so far back. Again, you could give me next year's first, and I don't know if that competes with what Matt's offering. So,
I don't see the Bears moving up.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to have some fun. I really want Bateman since I think Robinson's gone pretty soon. So
all right.
I can see
Don't trade up that far for a wide receiver.
I mean, I think if I'm the Bears, I'm pretty shocked that Bateman didn't go in the first round or didn't go in the first 31 picks. And so I think, especially with Robinson leaving, I mean, he's franchise tag for now. But, I mean, the Bears didn't give him a quarterback. You know, they gave him Dalton, who's fine. But, I mean, that's not someone that I think Robinson wants to finish his career with. So I think he's gone next year unless they want to tag him again, which I don't think they want it for that price tag. So, I mean, they're going to have to – I mean, at that point, they're looking at, you know, Anthony Miller and Darnell Mooney as their 1 and 2, which I don't love. So I'd really like to solidify someone like Bateman, who's pretty solid, who's not going to drop the second round 20th pick. But that's why I would want to trade up in that place as the Bears. But maybe I'm being a little idealistic. I don't know.
All right.
Do you think Washington trades up at this pick if they don't take a quarterback?
Who they gonna take?
Yeah, Mond.
I don't know.
Mond's
That's
only
good
one.
question.
I mean, Mond or Mills. I don't think Mills is going first.
Yeah, you can wait on all three of them at the 19th.
Pretty much, yeah. If you're the only one left, like that's the thing. Like,
what other teams are gonna take them? Atlanta. You're Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta or Detroit. Atlanta, Detroit, like maybe Carolina.
Maybe Washington.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think Washington's the only one that's like desperate in need for a quarterback because you know, like you're not going into a season with just Fitz.
Yep.
So
Hey, Chase Daniel was on the market.
I heard he's expensive.
Yeah.
It costs a lot as a backup quarterback, but.
Daniel,
All right, at 32, let's round this out. We're at about an hour past, or a half hour past what we expected to go for this mock draft. So,
did I win the trade?
yeah,
you
you
did. You got
definitely
it.
did. What was it? It was what a
there you
second, a third.
Liam Eichenberg.
You're the Jets,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
Second, this year's second, this year's third, and then next year's third.
it's hard to beat, especially because you know they're going to be high second,
They
and
have
third round picks.
21 picks. It's not like they're gonna suck. I mean, be great again, like in 2010.
Remember when the Browns did that for like 3 years and they still sucked?
Hey, it's working out.
Yeah,
now.
It's working out now, but it wasn't working out with just collecting picks. You finally had to start
It's
hitting
the
on
Jets. We have no expectations.
Exactly. That's why I have no expectations for Zach Wilson. It's just basically like, all right, so you're saying he's going to end up being a bust because he goes to the Jets. Sadly.
Nah. Eichenberg's a good pick, though. You know, he's a nasty tackle. We're just talking about nasty tackles. That's a good player for them.
I do like it. And that rounds it out. Gentlemen, looking at the board right now, is there anything you guys see that you do like? I will straight up say I fucked up. At 8, that should have been Penei Sewell. I don't know if I blacked that out on accident or one of you guys did that shit on purpose. If y'all did, I'm gonna check that. I'm gonna check the sheet history. We're gonna find out.
It wasn't me.
But that's where I messed up.
I thought Joseph was gonna take him.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna take him, Joseph. And I'm like, wait, where's Sewell? And I'm like, oh, he's blacked out, but no one took him.
Yeah, I think Sewell could have gone at 6, could have gone at 7, could have gone at 8, at 9. I don't think so. At 10. Yeah, then we messed up. If any of you haters can or got something to say in the YouTube comment section, you get a pass on that one. But you're probably right.
It's realistic though that the Lions take Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
At 7.
But then
it's pretty realistic.
They've got Rick Wagner.
Oh, no.
We're back. Froze for a second. All right.
Yeah, you froze, Jack.
Anything you guys can think of specifically on here? I know I would be so excited to see Trey Lance go to the Niners. What is
I feel
the
like
that-
the Falcons could kind of got more
That
of a haul.
15th.
Yeah.
that 15? Yeah, that might have been the best pick, especially just staying put and still giving it. Does anybody have an idea for the worst pick? Is there a worst pick? Is there a bad pick on this list? I mean, this is the war room, gentlemen.
You know,
I ain't trying to call out my boy like that, Tyler Creed Humphrey at 24. That's a little rich for me. I'm like, I respect it, but like that's the only pick where somebody picked it, and I was like, I don't know about that. But I respected your reasoning behind it. For sure.
Well, they don't have what's his name anymore, Pouncey. So
Yeah, it was he definitely. Well, I would have went with the tackle personally, but
Yeah.
you know,
or guards that could play center.
whatever.
I would say
Dickerson.
Joseph, you taking Terrence Marshall over Bateman. That one got me a little.
I agree. I agree with that one. That one's a little early for my blood, but again, Joseph, your rankings are a little different than ours, my dude. There's nothing wrong with that, especially if you can turn around next year and be like, I told you so. So that's what these war room meetings are for. And I think back to next week, we will actually start doing some scouting report call outs. I appreciate y'all tuning in to another edition of the War Room, where Blitzalytics scouts hammer it out, have a little fun. Figure we'd enjoy the process a little bit with the mock draft. I haven't got to do one this year. I think a couple of you guys haven't, so it was fun. I appreciate it. Gentlemen, go in snake order. Let these people know where they can find you on Twitter. I'm Jack Bourgeois, at Jack Bourgeois, JackBooshwa. And check me out at check all of us out at Blitzalytics.com for all of your draft coverage and custom analytics needs. Matt.
My Twitter is last name, first name. It's pronounced DiDomenico, if anyone's wondering. And so DiDomenico Matt 5. It's my Twitter handle.
Mr. Joseph Yoon.
Yeah, my Twitter is 2Yoon20Blitz. The Yoon is two O's, and you can find me on Blitzalytics writing positional big boards right now. So I'm knee deep in that. So please check it out, and there are other great articles there.
Tyler, hit him.
All right, you can find me on Twitter at Tyler_Mooney12, and I've been retweeting a bunch of Blitzalytics scouting reports, so make sure to click on the links and check those out.
Get him, Chaz.
All right, you can find me at CC NFL Draft. You can catch me on Blitzalytics writing those scouting reports that Tyler is retweeting. I appreciate that. You can also find them all up and down my page as well.
Steven, not Stefan. Steven, I knew I was doing that last week.
That's okay. I get that all the time. You can find me on Twitter at SBTrey23. Trey spelled like Trey Lance. And be on the lookout. I'll have an article pretty soon about teams giving up on young quarterbacks too early. So be on the lookout for that, because it's going to be pretty fun.
I'm sure Sam Darnold will be right up in that article.
Oh, he's going to be the focal point. You just wait.
He's number one.
Real quick before we go, do you guys? I might be tripping. I could be completely wrong. I could be showing how dumb I am. Wasn't there a time where Sam Darnold and Teddy Bridgewater were on the same team before? And wasn't there an issue with Teddy out-throwing him and outdoing him and then getting rid of Teddy because it was creating turmoil? Am I crazy? Am I the only one that remembers this?
I think they crossed over like his rookie season, I think.
Yeah.
I remember Bridgewater on the Jets for sure.
But you guys, do you remember any of that turmoil about him being there? And that's kind of why they got rid of him, because he was outshining Sam Darnold. Again, rookie Sam Darnold, veteran Teddy Bridgewater, or at least Teddy with a few years under his belt. But like, I do kind of remember this. And now they're back on the same team, and they're going to ship Teddy out, even though Teddy outdid Sam. At least one holds on to the ball and protects the ball.
I will say, as far as the Panthers go, I think Teddy's kind of hit his ceiling at this point, and I think Darnold has a lot more ceiling to reach, especially playing under Gase. So I do think they're similar in terms of talent, but I do think that Darnold has a higher ceiling at this point, especially because, like I say, he's got a lot of room to grow, learning under someone like Matt Rule and Joe Brady as opposed to Adam Gase. So, but I do remember what you're talking about. I vaguely remember that as well. But I do think it's a different ball game under an actual head coach and not someone that's hired by the Jets.
Most certainly.
I saw Jeremiah. I think it was Jeremiah's mock draft. I forget if it was him or someone else. They had like them taking Justin Fields, like the Panthers, even after the trade. I'm like, that is not happening.
We've seen crazier things. We've seen people take quarterbacks back to back in round 1, so I would not be surprised. We shall see. Tune in next week, same time, and we'll probably be pumping out a few more episodes this week. So stay tuned, keep updated, check out Blitzalytics.com, and